When you stop reacting, something powerful shifts inside both you and her. It's not just silence, it's a change in energy she can feel even from a distance. Because a woman doesn't panic when you stop talking. She panics when she realizes she no longer has emotional leverage over you. She can deal with you ignoring her for a few days. She can rationalize that. She'll tell herself you're mad, playing hard to get, or trying to get a reaction. But what she can't handle is when you no longer respond in the way she expects, when her usual triggers, tests, or emotional games no longer move you. That's when she feels a loss she can't explain, a shift she didn't prepare for, and a fear she didn't know she had. You see, for a long time, she relied on your reactions, your frustration, your confusion, your desire to fix things, your eagerness to reassure her. Every time she pulled back, she knew you'd chase. Every time she acted cold, she expected you to question yourself. Every time she created distance, she believed you'd close the gap. This was the rhythm she got comfortable with, the routine she thought would never change. But the moment you stop reacting, it disrupts the entire dynamic. Suddenly, she can't predict you, can't influence you, can't pull you back into the emotional maze she controlled. That's a deeper level of silence, one that hits the ego, not just the ears. Because when a woman realizes her behavior no longer affects you, she starts questioning herself. Did she push too far? Did she miscalculate? Did she lose the version of you who once gave her everything? And those questions echo in her mind because your new calmness feels unfamiliar. You're not cold, you're just detached. You're not angry, you're indifferent. You're not punishing her, you're simply done feeding the dynamic that drained you. And that difference is what unsettles her on a level she never expected. It's not that you've gone silent, it's that you've outgrown the emotional dependency she relied on. You aren't sitting around wondering what she's thinking. You aren't trying to decode her actions. You aren't seeking validation or permission. You're reclaiming your emotional energy. And once a man does that, everything changes because she can ignore your words, but she can't ignore your energy. She can pretend your silence doesn't bother her, but she can't pretend your emotional withdrawal doesn't sting. And the truth is, when you stop reacting, you send a message louder than any reply you could ever type. I am no longer controlled by what you do. At first, she might test you harder. She might act even colder. She might try to provoke a reaction just to see if she still has power. But when nothing works, when you stay grounded, focused, improving living, she begins to realize you've stepped out of the role she once placed you in. You're no longer emotionally available for manipulation. You're no longer the man who tries to fix everything. You're no longer the one waiting for her to choose you. You've chosen yourself now, and that's the shift that makes her feel real loss. Because the greatest pain is not losing a man's presence, it's losing his emotional connection. That's what she valued the most, even if she never admitted it. And when she feels it slipping, when she senses you're no longer tied to her in the same way, the silence becomes heavier, deeper, more painful than words. She realizes she underestimated your strength. She realizes she took your availability for granted. She realizes she never prepared for the moment when you would stop reacting and start rising. And that's when she finally understands your detachment hurts far more than your silence ever could. When she realizes you're no longer emotionally available, something begins to crumble inside her. Because women don't fear losing a man, they fear losing the version of him who once gave without hesitation. And when that version disappears, it creates a shock she never anticipated. This is where something even more powerful than silence begins to hurt her, the shift from emotional investment to emotional neutrality. Your silence might bother her for a moment, but your emotional unavailability that hits her on a deeper level. Because now you're not just quiet, you're unreachable. Emotional unavailability isn't about shutting down or becoming cold. It's about no longer offering the emotional safety, comfort, and validation she once relied on. It's about no longer giving her access to the parts of you she believed she had a permanent claim on. You're not punishing her, you're protecting yourself. You're not ignoring her, you're prioritizing what preserves your peace. And that's what shakes her because deep down she was used to having your heart on standby. She assumed you'd always be there, always ready, always trying. She thought your emotions were something she could turn on and off like a switch. But once you stop offering that connection, she feels a vacuum she can't fill with distractions, attention, or temporary excitement. This lack of emotional access creates a discomfort she doesn't know how to hide. She used to hold power through your vulnerability, through your desire to make things right, through your willingness to meet her emotional needs, even when she wasn't meeting yours. Now, without that dynamic, she's forced to sit with the emptiness she created. She begins to feel a kind of emotional withdrawal, like she's losing something she never knew she needed so badly until it was gone. And the hardest part for her is realizing that emotional unavailability cannot be forced open. She can't demand it. She can't guilt you into giving it back. She can't manipulate her way into reconnecting with you. When a man truly pulls back emotionally, it becomes a quiet wall she can't climb because it's not built out of anger, it's built out of self respect. And as you continue to grow, as you focus on your life, your goals, your peace, your purpose, she sees the shift more clearly. You're no longer seeking reassurance. You're no longer chasing answers. You're no longer analyzing what she did or why she did it. You've stopped giving your emotions to someone who couldn't value them. And that realization starts to eat at her. The calmness you now carry feels unfamiliar. The confidence you're rebuilding looks different on you. And the distance she once thought she wanted now feels like a mistake she can't undo. This is where she begins to feel something deeper than regret. She feels replaced, not by another woman, but by your own growth. She may reach out lightly at first, testing the waters, expecting you to fold the way you used to. But when your responses are measured, calm, detached, when you're polite but not invested, present but not eager, she feels the one thing her ego feared the most: loss of influence. Emotional unavailability strips away her ability to control the emotional rhythm of the connection. She realizes she no longer has the same role in your life. You're no longer the man who responds instantly, who opens up so easily, who prioritizes her feelings over his peace. That version of you is gone, and once gone, it's not something she can resurrect. And so she begins to panic silently, wondering if she underestimated your strength, wondering if she pushed too far, wondering if she lost the one man who genuinely cared for her. Because the truth is, silence bothers her, but emotional unavailability breaks her illusion of control. It makes her confront the consequences of her behavior, and it forces her to see what life looks like without the emotional attention she took for granted. When you stop explaining yourself, stop defending your worth, and stop trying to make her understand what she refused to value, something inside her shifts, because now she's dealing with a version of you she can't predict. This is where uncertainty takes over. And uncertainty, more than silence, is what truly gets into her mind. A woman can handle distance. She can handle no contact. She can even handle your silence for a while. But what she can't handle is not knowing where she stands with you anymore. The moment she loses that clarity, everything inside her becomes unsettled. Uncertainty is powerful because it removes her sense of control. When she knew your feelings, she felt safe. When she knew you'd always respond, she felt secure. When she knew you cared deeply, she felt confident. But now she doesn't know anything for sure. She can't predict your reactions. She can't assume you're waiting for her. She can't feel certain that you still want her the way you once did. And that unknown is what starts overwhelming her thoughts. She begins replaying the past in her mind, searching for clues, wondering when exactly she lost the emotional advantage she once held over you. Every unanswered question becomes a louder echo. Every missing piece becomes a heavier weight. She starts observing you more closely, your posts, your presence, your progress. She notices how you've stopped seeking validation through her. She sees how your attention is no longer directed toward her. She notices how your energy has shifted from longing to evolving. And that triggers a deeper fear within her, the fear of irrelevance. Women aren't afraid of losing a man. They're afraid of becoming someone that man no longer sees, no longer values, no longer prioritizes. And uncertainty magnifies that fear tenfold. She wonders whether she's still in your thoughts, whether part of you still cares, whether she still matters the way she used to. But she doesn't get the answer she wants. Instead, she gets silence mixed with unpredictability, and that combination is what truly destabilizes her. Uncertainty works because it forces her to see the truth she avoided. She never had as much control as she thought she did. When you were open, expressive, emotionally available, she believed it was because she was irresistible. Now she sees that it was a choice, your choice. And today you're choosing something else. You're choosing yourself. You're choosing peace. You're choosing emotional boundaries. You're choosing growth over attachment. She may try to convince herself that she doesn't care, that she's moved on, that she's unaffected. But the human mind can't ignore uncertainty. It fixates on it, spirals around it. It tries to solve the mystery even when there's nothing to solve. And slowly that uncertainty starts turning into concern, then curiosity, then anxiety, then regret. She wonders whether she pushed too far, whether she misread your patience as weakness, whether she confused your love with dependency. She starts thinking about the things she said, the choices she made, the way she treated you when she believed you'd never change. She tries to convince herself that she still has influence, but deep down, she knows she doesn't. And that is what stings the most. Eventually, the uncertainty becomes unbearable, and that's when she does what she promised herself she wouldn't. She starts reaching out, maybe lightly at first, maybe indirectly, maybe through subtle gestures. Not because she wants control back, but because she wants certainty again. She wants to feel seen the way she used to. She wants to feel chosen the way she once was. She wants to know she still has a place in your world. But the truth is, she doesn't get to decide that anymore. When she realizes she can no longer provoke a reaction from you, no irritation, no frustration, no emotional response at all, that's when everything inside her starts collapsing. Because reactions are a form of validation. Even your anger used to reassure her that she still mattered, that she still had influence over your emotions, that she could still get inside your head whenever she wanted. But now, when she tries to trigger something in you and gets nothing but calm neutrality in return, it hits her differently. It hits her harder than silence ever could. Silence can be explained, but emotional neutrality, that tells her she no longer lives in your mind the way she used to. She may test you subtly at first, small comments, indirect posts, cryptic messages meant to pull you back into the old emotional pattern. Not because she wants conflict, but because she wants proof she can still affect you. When she doesn't get that proof, she feels something she didn't expect, emotional invisibility. It's not that you're ignoring her, it's that you're not reacting to her anymore. You're not feeding the drama. You're not jumping to fix anything. You're not proving your loyalty. You're not fighting for what she walked away from. And that scares her because it shows her you're no longer emotionally anchored to her. This lack of reaction forces her to confront the reality she avoided. Her actions no longer have impact. The power she once held came from your emotional responses. You cared deeply, so everything she said or did mattered to you. Now you've detached, not in a cold, bitter way, but in a calm, centered, peaceful way, and that calmness becomes the loudest message she's ever received. It tells her the bond has shifted. It tells her the dynamic has changed. It tells her that the version of you she could once influence has evolved into someone she no longer understands. When she realizes she can't shake you emotionally, she starts questioning herself. She wonders why she no longer gets the reaction she expects. She wonders if she pushed too hard, crossed too many lines, or misjudged your loyalty. She starts fearing that another part of your heart is shutting down, something she can't reopen. She may still pretend she doesn't care, still act detached on the outside, but inside she's dissecting everything. She's thinking about past conversations, remembering the way you once used to react, comparing the old you to the new one she's now facing. And in that comparison, she feels the gap widening. Your emotional stability forces her to face the truth she never wanted to admit. She needed your reactions more than she ever realized. They fed her ego, her sense of importance, her feeling of emotional dominance. But now, with no reaction to feed off, she begins to feel powerless. She begins to feel uncertain, insecure, even threatened by the possibility that you've outgrown her. Because when a man reaches a point where her words no longer shake him, where her silence no longer pulls him, where her behavior no longer defines his mood, that's when she understands she no longer controls the emotional tempo of the connection. And that realization begins to weigh heavily on her. It makes her reflect, it makes her regret, it makes her question the choices she made when she thought she had unlimited emotional access to you. And eventually, when she sees you calm, focused, unaffected, and moving forward, she realizes something she never expected, that losing your emotional reactions means losing a part of you she never valued until it was gone. When you stop trying to prove your worth, stop chasing validation, and stop showing her that you're willing to bend your entire world just to keep her comfortable, something inside her begins to awaken. Because now she's dealing with a version of you who no longer revolves around her. This is where the shift becomes undeniable. She begins comparing who you used to be with who you've become. And that comparison hits her harder than anything you could have said, done, or texted, because nothing hurts more than realizing she's watching a man rise after she thought she broke him. When you were over investing, over giving, over explaining, she didn't truly see your value. She only saw your effort. She only saw how much you were willing to sacrifice. And when someone sees only the effort, not the value behind it, they begin to believe that effort is guaranteed, that it's permanent, that you're permanent. But once you step back, once you stop over giving and start giving to yourself, the dynamic flips completely. She starts noticing things she ignored before: your discipline, your ambition, your silence, your self control, your emotional stability. She starts seeing the strength she dismissed as weakness. She starts seeing the confidence she once took for granted, because now you're not chasing her, you're evolving, and nothing makes her more aware of what she lost than watching your evolution unfold without her. This comparison doesn't come from jealousy alone, it comes from realization. She begins recalling how you used to drop everything for her, how you used to respond instantly, how you used to express your feelings freely, how you made her feel like the center of your world. That version of you is predictable, available, and easy for her to understand. But the man you're becoming, the man who isn't shaken by her silence, who isn't moved by her distance, who isn't begging for closure or reassurance, that man is a mystery to her. And mystery creates attraction, tension, and emotional weight she can't escape from. As you grow, she begins shrinking in comparison, not because she's less, but because she's standing still. She sees your progress, your new mindset, your renewed energy, your improved habits, your calm presence. She sees you stepping into a higher version of yourself, and deep down, she knows she played a role in awakening that transformation, even if it wasn't in the way she intended. She thought you would break, instead, you rebuilt. She thought you would chase, instead, you redirected. She thought you would wait, instead, you moved forward. And what stings her most is realizing that the man she once had full emotional access to is now becoming the man she would have fallen even more deeply for at the wrong time. This realization makes her replay her decisions, her behavior, her attitude. She questions why she didn't appreciate your softness, your loyalty, your consistency. She wonders why she pushed so hard, why she tested so much, why she doubted your value. And she starts imagining what it would have been like if she met this version of you earlier, before she created the distance, before she made the mistakes, before she convinced herself you'd never change. But now your growth doesn't include her, your peace doesn't rely on her, your confidence doesn't come from her approval. And that's what breaks her more than anything else, knowing that you became the man she always wanted, the man she always believed you could be, but not for her. Not anymore. When you no longer make her the center of your world, when you no longer give her the emotional access she once took for granted, and when you finally prioritize your own peace over her unpredictability, something begins to break inside her. Not because you left, but because she can no longer return to the version of you she once controlled. This is where the silent twist happens, the moment she realizes the door isn't locked, but it also isn't open the way it used to be. You didn't shut her out, you simply stopped waiting at the entrance. This shift in dynamic hits her deeply because it forces her to face a truth she never imagined. She might want to come back, but she no longer knows how. She no longer has the same emotional access. She no longer has the same influence. She no longer feels the same predictable response from you. And that realization cuts into her ego, her emotions, and her sense of certainty all at once. Because now, even if she does reach out, she doesn't know how you'll respond. She doesn't know if you'll be warm, indifferent, or completely detached. The old script she relied on no longer applies. The emotional map she once used to navigate you is outdated. She begins to feel something unfamiliar: vulnerability. Real, raw vulnerability, not the performative kind, not the manipulative kind, but the kind that forces her to confront her feelings honestly. She may have walked away confidently, but now she's looking back with hesitation. She's questioning her choices. She's realizing that the emotional safety you provided wasn't just convenient, it was rare. Your patience wasn't weakness, it was love. Your consistency wasn't neediness, it was character. But now Your silence isn't punishment, it's self respect. And she understands the difference too late. As she watches you grow, stay calm, stay grounded, and stay focused, she sees that you're not the man she left behind. That man was emotionally available, open, and willing to give more than he received. The man standing here now is composed, confident, selective, and protective of his energy. You've stepped into a new version of yourself, one that doesn't chase, doesn't cling, doesn't beg. And that transformation creates a distance she never prepared her heart for. It's not the physical space that hurts her, it's the emotional evolution she can't reverse. She might try to circle back, test the waters, or send subtle signals, but every attempt is met with a version of you she can't predict. You're polite but not eager, present but not attached, calm but not interested in emotional chaos. And this balance centered version of you makes her realize something painful coming back isn't as simple as she thought. She can't just return and reclaim her place. She can't walk in with the same confidence, expecting you to drop everything because your life no longer revolves around her. And that truth destabilizes her more than your silence ever did. She starts thinking about all the moments she overlooked you, all the times she took your attention for granted, all the times she believed you would always be there. But now she's not sure. She's not sure if you still want her. She's not sure if you still care. She's not even sure if you still see her the same way. And this uncertainty grows into fear, a fear of losing you not because she walked away, but because you outgrew the version of her who believed she could always return. This is when she finally understands what truly hurts more than no contact. It's not your silence, but your freedom. It's seeing you choose yourself. It's recognizing that your heart is no longer waiting. And nothing shakes a woman more than realizing she wants to return to a man who is no longer standing where she left him.